Have you ever worked for a boss that made decisions based off their self-interest rather than the best interest of the group, that demanded respect but would not give respect? Maybe would display negative emotions, kind of throw a temper tantrum when things didn't go their way. They were easily upset. They seemed pretentious, acted better than those that worked for them. When we see these traits in a child, a 10-year-old, they can be guided and we can work with it. And we expect it, somewhat immature nature. But when we see these same traits, these childish, immature traits, in someone with authority over us, man, work can become a nightmare real quick. Hi, Brian McCorder here with Black Belt Lean Thinking. And in 2015, I wrote an article called "Do You Work for a 10-Year-Old?" that I put on LinkedIn. And it got a lot of attention. I started hearing from people that were working for immature bosses, and it was making their lives at work kind of miserable. The way I came up with that article is I used to be a senior trainer for Philips. And one of the courses that I taught was on leadership, and I did a lot of work with people to develop leadership. In my own preparation for those classes, I spent a lot of time reading books on leadership and going to seminars and things like that. Probably 2 years into the learning process, I discovered that the majority of the books I'd read and the seminars I'd gone to were not about leadership at all. They were about people management. Not the same thing. You manage your household, you manage your bank account. Well, that's how they would manage people. It's all about the numbers and getting the work done. Nothing to do with leadership. Remember, there's only one definition of a leader. Leaders have willing followers. They have influence. If no one is willing to follow you, you're not a leader. It's as simple as that. The reason I wrote the article is I noticed a lot of people that were acting like managers but demanding people treat them like leaders. And I wanted to be able to show people the difference between a leader and someone in authority who is not a leader, and kind of give people some guidance on how to deal with those situations. The article did quite well, and then later I just went ahead and turned it into a book. It's important to realize that any business is a symbiotic relationship that is three-part. Your employees, suppliers, and customers. Your employees are your team, your family. They're the ones that are going to help you to accomplish your goals, take care of your customers, and grow the business. Your suppliers are your business partners. They're the ones that you work with to take care of your customers. And the customers are the people that you serve, the ones that buy your goods and services. Any decision in the business that is made that goes against any of those three should be looked at as a bad decision. That's your first litmus test. Any decisions you make, and I realize they won't all be popular with all three, but that should always be the goal. You want to serve your employees, your suppliers, and your customers. And that person in that authority position needs to see their decision making that way as well. They need maturity. Without a purpose bigger than ourselves, we will end up serving only ourselves. They need to see the group and that symbiotic relationship as part of their purpose in that position of authority. And we can measure a person's maturity. We're mature to the level that we can put the needs of others above our own. We have something I call the maturity circle. You take a toddler or a small child, and they mainly think of themselves. So the parents work on teaching little Johnny or Jane not to pull hair, to share toys, to pay attention to the feelings of others, and get their maturity circle to expand where it includes others and family. And as we grow older, with maturity, deep maturity, we can grow a very large maturity circle to where we care about people in the community and in third world countries and places that we've never been, and caring about people we've never met just because of our compassion. We know their need. That's a high level of maturity. Okay. So I'm going to make a series of videos kind of going over some of the topics that I have in that book. When you're in that position where you're working for someone that's immature, you really have three options. And it's kind of nice to know that it is truly that simple. And we can get kind of complicated maybe on how we look at it, but it is truly just those three options. Change the relationship, change yourself, or walk away. Change your relationship. What that means is, you know what? Go to that boss and have that courageous conversation. You know, tell them that, hey, I want to do a good job. I like the work here. I want to keep working here. But I've got some problems with how you manage me. And I want us to be able to work better together. So, and then lay out in a very positive, respectful manner the issues that you have. And see if working together you can resolve those. They might not even realize they're doing the things that are really causing you pain and suffering at work. And that second one is change yourself. I had a friend of mine, I remember, who loved his work, had a very immature boss that I know was causing lots of trouble for him, but I noticed this person was always happy. So I asked him about it one day. I go, you know you have trouble dealing with that person, and I would too. They were, in fact, very immature. And I go, how come you're always happy? And he looked at me and goes, you know, I see my boss maybe for 5 minutes a day out of, there were 12-hour shifts he dealt with. He goes, I can handle that. I make good money, good benefits, and I love the people I work with. So for him, it was no big deal. He had the right perspective. His boss was a pain, but you know what? Everything kind of outweighed it to where he didn't give a whole lot of thought to the boss. That last one, if you can't change your relationship and you can't get to where you're okay with it, then that third one is walk away. If you don't, you're going to end up probably suffering a lot of anxiety and ill health just from dealing with that 8 hours a day or more. If you're miserable at work, it's going to take a toll on you. The Gallup organization did a study where they surveyed and looked at families where people worked long hours or where parents worked night shifts or strange hours, and it really didn't have that much impact on the family. But for parents that worked at jobs that they were miserable at, that they hated, it had very negative impacts on the family. So how about you? Do you work for someone with a maturity level of a 10-year-old, making your life a little bit difficult at work? Or are you blessed to have a strong leader with a wide maturity circle? It's important to understand who you're working for and what your options are. In future videos, I'll talk more about some of the topics in the book, and hopefully it'll put some wind in your sail and give you some different options on how to cope with a negative boss. Until next time, Brian McWhorter, Black Belt Lean Thinking, and now make the change. Thank you.